Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I hope you're doing well. Alright guys, you know the deal. Your hands, your fingers, are they ready? Are they limber? If not, I'm going to need you to take them, dunk them in the toilet really quick, pull them out, wash them off, shake it, make sure they're nice and dry, and get ready to leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about this topic. Guys, if you are new here and at any point in the video you believe I deserve it, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit that bell if you do. Also, if you enjoy the video at any point, make sure you leave that thumbs up. Additionally, make sure you're following me on Twitter. That's really important. That's really important. Make sure you're following me on Twitter to make sure you know whenever I post a new video, or to know whenever I go live on Twitch, which is, by the way, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Okay, so just throwing that out there. We play a bunch of variety on there, so come have fun with us. All right, let's get into this video. I hear you. I hear the community. I hear you guys yelling out, "Defton, the loot quality is garbo. It's all like 3%, man. Can't get anything. Shit's trash, bro." I get it. I get it. That's the video that I'm going to be making today. I'm going to be talking about exactly that. And maybe how you can get some better rolls. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, some people may say that there isn't really a loot quality issue. I would say that those people probably aren't playing the game enough, or they're playing the game way too much or something. But for those of us that play the game like normal gamers, I guess, like a few hours per day, or like, you know, a bunch of hours on the weekends or whatever, if you just play the game on a consistent basis, you can tell that there's a problem with the loot. Like, there's a problem with the rate that loot drops, especially exotics, but we'll get into exotics later. What I wanted to focus on right now is mostly god rolls. I want to create a whole separate video on exotics. A lot of people have been saying that they have not been able to get any god rolls, or they've had a huge problem getting god rolls. They drop very sparingly, like they aren't very, like, especially when the devs said that the loot was going to be less, but it's going to be like way more valuable. It's going to be way better than it was before. It doesn't seem to be mirroring with the game, right? People are receiving drops that are mediocre at best on the hardest difficulty levels, and they don't believe that that's okay. Now, I do want to say that it's not that you don't get any god rolls. It's just a lot of times you get god rolls that you don't really need, and a lot more times than not you get just completely mediocre gear. Like, you could see the gameplay on the screen right here. There are a few times where I come across loot and the loot is just garbage. I don't even bother picking it up. So I believe that there definitely is an issue here that the devs need to address, whether they are going to increase the chances that god rolls drop, or whether they are going to make it so that loot drops even less, but in heroic difficulties, when they do drop, it's always going to be a guaranteed god roll or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to do this, you need to do it right. Otherwise, people are going to feel unrewarded, and I feel like that's the case right now. People are playing, they're getting their drops, and they just are not feeling rewarded for going through these difficult missions, because some of these are really hard. For example, DARPA Labs. Are you kidding me? That mission is hard on heroic. That mission is extremely difficult on heroic. So I'm not saying that everybody plays that, but what I'm saying is heroic difficulty, the rewards should match the challenge, right? And it doesn't seem to be the case right now. Now, what I wanted to do with this video is I wanted to try and make it so that you guys can find some sort of way to get around this issue of loot quality kind of being bad, right? So I did a quick recording right here showing you what I do whenever I get some rolls that are pretty good, but they aren't really the best. And I also focused on what you need to do whenever you receive a god roll and all the other stats are crap. Honestly, you do not want to keep that. You do not want to keep that weapon. If only one of the stats are god rolled, or one of the attributes or the core attribute or whatever is god rolled, and everything else is bad, you do not want to keep that. You want to put that in your recalibration library. Even if the other stats are pretty good. Like, if you have one God rolled stat, one that's like maybe above average or mediocre, and then the other one is garbage, just put that in your recalibration library. Put the God rolled stat in your recalibration library. It's so important. It's so immensely important, and I'll explain why right after this clip. Right, so these are some of the new things I picked up during this mission that I just played. So let's try and figure out what we could do with it, right? So let's go into here. I picked up this, which was a decent roll, not really, but I could turn this into a pretty good roll. We have this one over here, which I'm just going to use for recalibration, so let me mark that as recalibration. Even though this is actually not too bad of a roll. Well, actually, no, it is pretty bad if you're trying to specialize in a specific type of character. So we're not going to focus on that. This was a pretty good roll. The only problem that I have with it is the fact that it has 2 blues and 1 red. Like the core attribute is red and the other regular attributes are 2 blues. So that's not really what we want. Usually when you're building, you're trying to focus on a particular type, especially if you're going to be trying to go into endgame content. So yeah, that's kind of the situation that we have here. I'm going to add some of these to my recalibration library, which is very important, as I said before, and I'll explain why in a second. Make sure I have everything as high as it can be. We have this, repair skills. I will go ahead and take that. And I think that's all I can improve. Oh, I have 2 things in gloves. Armor regeneration. This is the 2 blues and 1 red. I don't think I'm actually going to use this. What I could do is potentially keep this weapon damage because that's pretty high. And then if I wanted to, I can exchange this explosive resistance for something else. For example, I can change it for, I don't know, I could change it for like extra weapon damage, or not extra weapon damage, but critical damage, or weapon handling, or something like that. Because honestly, armor regeneration is something good to have on any character or any class, any build. Just because, you know, just passive armor regeneration can always come in handy. But let's go ahead and take a look at this armor piece that I got and see if I can do anything decent with that. Okay, so yeah, this had a decent roll, right? It had 14.6 weapon damage, it had 13% weapon handling, which is nice to have, but then the status effects thing, it's not really going to come in handy, so I would want to change that out. This is a visual bug, by the way. If you see this, don't worry, whatever you selected is actually selected. I don't know how they haven't fixed this yet. But anyway, so we have this right here. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to change out the status effect with another red, just to have like a full red armor piece. And what I could probably do is change this out with critical hit damage, I think. And now this is the reason why the recalibration library is super important, or the recalibration station in general is super important, because if you get a roll that is somewhat decent, it's not fully god rolled, but it's, you know, it's pretty high, you can, if you receive god rolls before that and you put it in your recalibration library, you can always apply those god rolls to that thing and ultimately get a better build, because you're using a god rolled stat that you have in your recalibration station and applying it to something that doesn't have any god rolls, but some of them might be close enough, right? So you get the idea. So this one had 14.6 weapon damage, which is almost max, which is almost god rolled. 15 is the max weapon damage here. So obviously I could change something else here, so let's go ahead and change this out for critical hit damage. And there we go. Now we have an actually good looking piece of armor right here. Obviously gunslinger, if you're not going to use that, I mean, it is what it is. You could choose to switch out the talent if you want to. I normally choose to focus on attributes as like the core thing that I want to change, and then talents are more secondary. But I mean, it's up to you at the end of the day, whatever you want to prioritize. But yeah, anyway, so that's kind of what you want to do when you get something that is somewhat decent. Like for example, this, right? I got this roll when I was playing that invaded mission earlier. You probably saw that footage. You would go over here to your recalibration station and you would basically max out whatever you need to. So in order to get these, you basically just have to play. Whenever you get a god roll, even if it's the first time, and you may be like, oh my goodness, like I don't want to lose this, I want to keep this. If it's like a really, really good roll, obviously you want to keep it. You don't want to, you don't want to put it into your recalibration library if it's like a triple god roll or something like that, or something close. But if it's something that's somewhat decent, then what you can do is this, where you bring it to your recalibration station. If it's something that's a god roll, one stat is god rolled, you bring that to your recalibration station, you put that into your recalibration library, and then later, once you find a weapon that's somewhat decent, whether it's 2 god rolls, 1 god roll, or none, but there are 2 stats that are really close to god rolled or something like that, you can take it, put it into your recalibration station, and basically make it a really, really good weapon. I mean, you could see here that this is actually really good M16A2 if I were the type of person to use it. Right now I'm using a baker's dozen and I'm really enjoying that, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use this, but the fact that I have this in my arsenal now, and if I ever wanted to switch to it, I have a god rolled one, I mean, you guys know it makes all the difference, right? This is an additional thing. I just used my exotic cache that I got for the whatever it's called for the league this week, and it gave me a god rolled chameleon. I mean, the chameleon is kind of garbage, but is that new? Has anybody else experienced that? Where it's just like a completely god rolled exotic item from the cache? Is that something you guys experienced? Let me know, because that I was not expecting. Maybe I'm just really freaking lucky. I have no idea. Yeah, guys, to be honest, at the end there, I really wasn't expecting to get a completely god-rolled chameleon from my exotic cache. Maybe they listened to my video in the past about what they can do in order to make loot a little bit more rewarding. I don't know, but hey, it looks like I got a max roll. I mean, I have to get another exotic cache to test to make sure it wasn't just a random thing and I got really, really lucky. But if they made it so that exotic caches give you max rolls and I somehow missed it in a state of the game or something like that, that is actually really good. I'm very happy about that. That would be really awesome if they continued that. Even if it's exotic caches or if they decide to make super exotic caches, like I said in a previous video, it would still be cool. But anyway, guys, that'll be it for the video today. I hope it was somewhat helpful. I hope you guys can, I guess, get better rolls now, or you'll be able to get the mediocre stuff that you get and bring it up to a really good level. Recalibration is extremely important in this game. Extremely important, and a lot of people don't realize that. They think that you will only get god rolls, or you will only get, perfect drops or whatever from NPCs or from regular drops and missions. That is not true. Really, the best thing to do is to build up your calibration library and use that to your advantage. That is going to be your best friend. Guys, let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Do you guys agree with me, or do you think that I'm crazy? Do you think that they should just give us god rolls whenever weapons drop or whenever items drop? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I would really appreciate your feedback. If you don't play The Division and you still watch this video, you're freaking awesome, by the way. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Do you play some sort of looter shooter? Do you believe that this is a good system that they have here in The Division, or do you think that they should do it a different way? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Guys, if you are new here, as I said before, and you reach this point in the video, what are you doing? Come on, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. Also, make sure you hit that bell so that you get notified whenever I post a video. Additionally, make sure you're following me on Twitter to know whenever I post a video or whenever I go live on Twitch, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And also, make sure you leave a like on this video to help out the video with the algorithm. I'd really appreciate it, guys. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next one.